What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the One More Rep podcast. I'm your host. My name is Joseph Percher. As always, this episode is brought to you by NutriBio Supplements, Crystals, Bikinis, and BioLongevity Labs. Check the description box for the codes. Today, very special episode. I'm joined by one of the UK bodybuilding scene OGs, one of my favorite people in bodybuilding, Peter Hill, aka Hilly. Uh, Peter is a coach, an athlete, trained by JP, sponsored athlete, engineered muscle, sponsored athlete. The list goes on and on. I feel like I could introduce you for 15 minutes. But Hilly, what's up, man? Thanks for taking the time.
Joseph, thank you very much for having me on. I've been looking forward to this. Hence, again, I'd just like to apologise to anybody watching it for my setup. As I was explaining, I've just moved into a new house and I've got no Wi-Fi or broadband, so I've had to move locations just to get some decent internet. Hence the funky setup in front of a couch. But we're good to go and we're rolling.
No, it's good to go, man. I can see you, I can hear you, and we appreciate the effort, man, because this is awesome. So, like I've talked about, I've listened to every episode of the podcast that you're on. You guys were originally the Bros Meet Science podcast. So if you guys that are listening have not seen this, you can search that on YouTube. It's 50 plus episodes deep. You guys have reunited and you're doing it now on the Engineered Muscle channel, which is separate. That's Riz's company. So check that out. So we're going to dive into it. I got some questions. I have some personal questions just because it's cool for me to be able to talk to you.
Cool.
And then we got audience questions too. So firstly,
Fantastic.
like just as an American and someone that just loves bodybuilding, I'm a fan of bodybuilding. I want to ask you about like what the UK bodybuilding scene is like, especially right now, because from my perspective, way removed over here, it seems like, and even for off season, even when the topic is trying to get big, it seems like everyone and their mother in the UK is on like the safer use protocol. So where do you, what is your experience with this, and where do you currently stand on this? Because it seems like there is just no variety over there.
There seems to be two camps, and then there's like an in-between filter on it. What you've got to bear in mind is, in my opinion, and from what I see, a lot of the time what people portray on social media or maybe on their podcasts isn't necessarily what is actually happening in real life. So I always think you have to take certain things with a grain of salt, shall we say, as you would say in England. But there's this camp in England, and it always blows my mind, and it's probably why I've only ever worked with American coaches, to be honest, is they created off. It was something that came off Victor Black, wasn't it? The safer use model. So you've got to give him his credit, otherwise he'll cry about it. And it's not something that I'm a fan of, but I completely understand from the little bit that I know of him, and I've never been one to follow his stuff or read anything about it, but I understand it. He sort of filtered it down to so many. They were big advocates of him at the time, and they sort of generated their whole coaching ethos around this safer use model. I've been doing this longer than most. I mean, I am 39 now. I started posting on bodybuilding forums when I was 18 or 19. It's how me and Jordan Peters, trained by JP, became busy mates. We used to speak almost every day before we'd even met, and we'd known each other about 5 years. But so we posted on the forums. I used to post on Professional Muscle, on a couple of private forums. I was quite close with Dat Brew, who was into all the peptides. I was one of the first members on his private forum. On Skip Hill's forum, me and Jordan used to just spend weeks reading everybody's old posts on those. So I think I'm very much bred, shall we say, on all of those forums in that American bodybuilding sort of way. Plus, apart from one or two bodybuilders, the cream of the crop in bodybuilding are in general American or other parts of the world. So you go to where you want the information.
Yeah.
Where I think from what I understand and from what I saw, and again, I'm not in with a lot of those cliques of coaches, although I'm friendly with them and I get on with them. They all came up at the same time. They're all quite friendly, but there's a group of them that like this low testosterone, high primobolan, this safer use model. My own opinion is, I don't think it's a safer use model, if I'm honest. I must have looked at thousands of people's blood work, and that is no exaggeration. And it's like, I'll give you the easiest example. They're all against equipoise. Equipoise is terrible for you. It's bad for your kidneys. It's bad for this. I have never seen anybody's blood work look any worse ever on equipoise than any other drug ever. And the logic says to me, if you've got to put 10 mil of primo in your body to get the same estrogen control that 1 mil of equipoise would do, I think there's something off, because that much oil, that many, what do they say?
Shots.
Whatever whatever metals it might be in it, whatever other
Mm,
compounds is in it, the shots, the stress of the oil itself, the cost of going through a bottle of Primo a week, which isn't cheap for us, but I know it's more expensive for you guys over there in general. It's I struggle to get my, and we know Primo is bad for your cholesterol. We know Equipoise is not. We know Equipoise can increase your red blood cell count, not drastically by any means in almost all people, in my experience. So you're getting more oxygen around your body, you're fitter, you've got more endurance, you're controlling estrogen better. From 1 mil at the costs like a tenth of the price, I've never been able to get my head around it. And if anybody listens to our podcast, you'll see that we have harped on about it for years. I've been harping on about it for a decade, because the only science was done on rabbits. And I'm like, come on,
yeah.
guys, like, you're basing all of this off rabbits? I've never been able to fathom it. And the real irony is, now there's this Primo and Masteron shortage.
Right.
The
Well,
amount of
they've all
people
lost their minds now, you know.
well, the amount of people messaging me at all levels, Hilly, what do you think? Like this, like, what should I do with this equipoise? And some of
Yeah.
my clients are like, Hilly, this is the best time of my life, because they've all been telling me that we're wrong, and now they're
Yeah.
going, like, this equipoise is pretty good, isn't it? And
Yeah,
this
it's
is,
pretty good. Yeah.
yeah, and then like we were saying before we started, the common sense side.
Yeah.
I think we can be confident in saying almost every Mr. Olympia will have used equipoise and is admitted to using equipoise. And I've also seen plans from all of the gods of God coaches, and they've all got equipoise in. And I'm
Yeah.
just like, but I do think the UK has this thing of, we work harder than everybody else, and we suffer worse than everybody else, and we
Yeah.
do things in a certain way. And there is, and that is a positive to a certain extent. But if you're not careful, it can come at your detriment as well. So that there's that balance. But yeah, that's my thoughts on it. I understand it, and I think if you are a lifestyle client, if you are a model, if
Yeah.
you are someone that is trying to be as healthy as possible, then take the least, use drugs that may be less toxic. And again, this is where the science on paper comes into it. If you're only taking 200 mg of test or 300 mg of test, any dose of equipoise is no good for you, because it's going to crash 99% of people's estrogen way hard. I'll give you an example. If I take 8 or 900 mg of test, 300 mg of equipoise keeps my estrogen top end of range. So if I was only taking 300 mg, and I've seen this happen, people have made a like for like switch, 1 mil of test, 300, and they've took out 300 primo because they can't get it, and brought in 300 mg of equipoise, and they've gotten the estrogen's just bottomed out. So
Yeah.
in that sense, if you understand, then yes, if someone's total load is only 600 meg, 700 meg, and you're not a high aromatizer, then maybe equipoise isn't a smart move. But that's not because it's unhealthy. That's just because it works so good at what it does, or one of the mechanisms. It's a bad choice. So therefore, a safer use, because we understand how the drugs work, would be Primo, would be Masteron. And if you've got someone that's in a different sport, then using Primo and then using Masteron, because Masteron has a positive effect on the central nervous system and the motor neurons. I get that safer use. But in bodybuilding, I struggle to see where it's at, unless you are this rare person that has kidney issues and get it from it, or you have thicker blood. And then obviously, logically, you don't take it, that's for sure. But that's like with any drug.
Yeah. Your point about like being a lifestyle yeah, that if you just want to be like the most jacked dad at soccer practice, yeah, like 300 megs a test and 500 megs a master round, that might be for you.
Exactly
If
that.
we're
Exactly
talking
that.
about being a super heavyweight bodybuilder or pro bodybuilder, like it just doesn't, we were talking about it off air. It's like at a certain point, it kind of just boils down to, people call it bro science, but it's like common sense. Like if the biggest motherfuckers ever all did it one
Yeah,
way,
yeah, yeah.
why would we try to do it a different way?
People hear me say it over and over again, but I'm very big on common sense, and you have to apply it to the individual and to what you're doing. But, and Jordan says the same thing, and some other, very experienced people I know, the ones that seem to know the most and have been through it, all seem to agree on some general set points. And I will always go back to Professional Muscle, one of the most famous bodybuilding boards,
Yeah.
was run by Big A, and then Phil Hernon, who I was coach for a little bit, was the moderator on there. And they both used to say, once your diet is on point, once your supplements are on point, Once your training's on point, you are only as big as your dose. And I will say that over and over again because I believe there's a lot of truth in it. I really do. And that's not me saying take all the drugs in the world. But we know that if everything else is perfect, then if you take more drugs over time, you will be bigger. And then the genetic factor comes in of, well, how good's your blood work on it and how far can you go? Like, I'm very lucky. It doesn't matter. It doesn't seem to matter what cycle I run. My blood work is good all of the time. At the last show that I won, I'd been on prep for 7 months, done a 6 week rebound, went to Ibiza with my mates for 4 days, didn't tell AJ because I was working with cement factory at the time. Went to Ibiza with the lads for 4 days, doing all sorts. And
Yeah.
randomly out the blue, he goes, right, I want you to get your bloods done. And I was like, are you
Oh
winding me up?
fuck.
My ALT was at like 64, which is not even 20 points over.
Right.
Everything was my blood work was better than I've seen natural clients' blood works. Genetically, my body just handles drugs. But I've
Yeah.
got major digestive issues, I've got two slip discs, a torn pec, so I have other genetic weaknesses. So
Yeah.
there's so much into it. But if for me, if you're ticking every other box, then over time, you are only as big as your dose. You are, and apart from your genetic adaptation and response, do we know anybody that isn't huge that didn't take loads of drugs? You can walk into a gym and pick the 10 biggest guys. Half of them won't know how much gear they're taking, they'll tell you in mils, but they'll all be taking randomly doses and it'll be a quite large amount. So it's that common sense factor of over time, you're going to need more drugs if you want to be bigger.
I think the thing that the public gets a misconception about when it comes to like almost the marketing behind safer use is they do see some of these guys that, we're like kind of referencing the real deal bodybuilders as examples, right? But then they'll turn around and say, well, John Jewett does this and Kuba does this. And it's like, man, the part that the public is missing is that these guys are doing this type of protocol now.
Yes.
This is not what built the name and the physique that we know on the way up.
And even if you look at what, because Cuba keeps a journal on the Train by JP forum,
Yep.
if anybody wants to go and see, you can see what all of the athletes are doing on there, and from Jordan to Cuba to everybody, and
Yep.
the doses are not small. And I always go back
Well,
to
that's the
Jordan because
thing
I mean,
too. It's like safer. How safe is 2 grams of masteron?
exactly that. And then you've also got to bear in mind, yes, if we're talking about pro bodybuilders and we look at John Jewett and Cuba, they're prime examples. Those guys live the perfect lifestyle and they do everything properly. That's why they've both got amazing physiques, way better than man, and they're both fantastic coaches. The problem is, and it's the same with Jordan and the same with Dante before, people look at part of what they do and they're like, oh, well, that'll work for me, without realizing that they are not going to do everything else because they physically can't. They can't get a red light sauna and a different sauna and a steam room and this and that. So it's like, well, they can do that because they can do the rest. It's like when people look at what Jordan does and Jordan does this and that. And my clients, I love, like me and Jordan are so close, but sometimes I'm like, Jordan, I wish you didn't put that on Instagram because I know I'm going to get 50 messages from clients all
Yeah.
wanting to do what you've just said.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you can't do that because you are not him and you don't have his ability to rest all day and you won't eat like he does and you won't
Right.
supplement. And there has to be this realistic sort of thing of, and this includes bodybuilders because another thing some coaches forget is not all of your clients can live like a pro bodybuilder. So you have to be able to adapt. It's like I was talking to a client in Holland the other week, and he was like, how do you manage this and that? And I was like, well, I get clients to send me, especially during peak week and the week before, their weights before meal five, before meal six, and before bed. So I can then judge what happens from before meal five to on wake. Because of time differences and because of clients' jobs and work, not everybody can wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning and then be told what they're going to eat for the day.
Right.
So if you want to be a good online coach that can work with everybody, you have to find ways of being able to. This guy works for the. He's got a fantastic physique. He won the Germany PCA's class. He works for the Holland Dutch Border Patrol. So yeah, super exciting job. But he was like, I have to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. It's too dark to take like the perfect pictures,
Right.
and then he can't then spend 2 hours making his meals for the day. So
Right.
we do that, and it's just things have to be adapted for those people. Everything is adaptive depending on your situation. So then looking at what someone does that is a pro bodybuilder and literally ticks the inside and out of every box. It's okay wanting to do what they can do, but can you actually live like them? And a lot of people can't. And like me and Cuba are really good mates. I love Cuba. But and if you are the type of person that will live like he does or follow plan, he gets the most amazing results and he works with unbelievable clients. But if you can't do that, you can't expect to get those results. And I think that's the bit that people miss. It's like, well, that was amazing. Well, can you not miss a meal in 10 months? Most
Right.
people, even if they're competitive bodybuilders, they can't. And
No.
that's not because they don't want to. It's because they've got, like when I have my little girl for 50% of the week. I can't tell my 4-year-old to sit down 6 times a day while I eat. You know, it's like it's. I remember saying to my mates, I never knew it would be this hard to get a chicken and rice meal in,
I
and I
know.
don't want it to, but I make it work around that, and I make it work for my clients, which is why quite a lot of my clients are like, I've got a family, I want to thrive at this, I want to win shows, but I don't want to miss out on my family, and I am very good at finding a balance for people because I do think for most of us, there has to be a balance because we're not trying to be pro bodybuilders, we're trying to look our best, enjoy doing what we do, which is really the weightlifting and the eating. And the competitive side is just an aftermath to that or an end result. But it needs to be worked around family and work and everything else.
Yep. Yeah, it's like the competitive side is kind of the icing on the cake. I mean, it's like
Yeah,
it's a little landmark to check off that you've, spent a year making progress. It's visible
that's
to you, and then you got to move on.
well. I used to always say most people, including myself, couldn't get all of the way down there and do what needs to be done unless you know you're getting on stage in a thong with fake tan on. So
I
you
feel the
need
same way. I
so
feel
you need
like not to cut you off, but I have like,
no no.
probably half of my clients are never going to get on a bodybuilding stage. And some of these psychos will be like, "Hey, I'm going on vacation in
I'm
16
going all the
weeks.
way.
I want you
Yeah,
to bury me." And it's like in my mind, I'm like,
yeah.
I would never do this. I would never
No,
diet this hard
no,
for a vacation.
and I think because I'm such a data geek and analytical to stuff, you want those show day morning pictures. If you want to really analyze how better your physique is, you
Yep.
need to be waking up on a show day with tan on. You know, when your mates are there and your coach is there taking the pictures. Because ironically for me, my last 3 shows over 5 or 6 years, I've only been 198, 200, and 202 pound, and every time I'm like, what am I doing? I had 10 or 15 pounds a year onto my clients. Why?
I know.
Why? But when I look at the morning pictures, I'm like dramatically better. So it
Yep.
makes me feel a bit better that I'm not wasting my time. But it's unless you were all of the way down there with the lighting and with tan, it's very hard to make those. So for me, and I'll compete again every couple of years because I enjoy experimenting, I enjoy working, learning, and I enjoy running things on myself, seeing what other people do, and go from there. So it is an important factor, but it's certainly not a must, like you say.
That and it makes you better at your job. Like you said, you're experimenting. And
Oh yeah,
I say this all the time, and people that listen to this are probably sick of hearing me say it, but I would never be able to listen to someone that has not lived this lifestyle at some point or another. And
some
I
point.
don't need you to be Mr. Olympia. I don't need you to be like, Phil Heath. But like when I get a check-in response as an athlete back and it says, "Hey man, we're gonna dig, like go to no carbs and 2 hours a day on the stairs." I need
Yeah.
to know that you know what the fuck that is doing to
Exactly,
me.
exactly, and that's why I think that somebody should have competed at least once or twice, in my
You have
opinion.
to.
And I don't think that, and I saw this on another podcast. I don't think that you need to have competed to be a good coach in terms of running through what needs to be done. I
Right.
think for you to be able to manage the client's mental side of things and your responses, you need to have lived through it. Um, and it's why I will still compete, and it's why I do certain things. So my last show, I came second in the first one, which was we jumped in early, and then I won the second one, which was the planned one. Now I spent from 8 weeks out till 4 weeks out in Dubai for 4 weeks with my little girl and my partner at the time, and I didn't miss a beat. I didn't eat out. I didn't eat off plan. I took scales with me to weigh stuff, and I will go to the ends of earth at the end of the earth for doing things, and I will post it on Instagram and I will show because I like to be able to say to clients, "Hang on a minute, if I can do this, why can't you?" Like I did a
Yes.
show where I worked a manual job. I wasn't a full-time coach. I used to work for the NHS on an eating disorders unit, and I was working at rugby clubs as a sports therapist, and then I was coaching, and then I was doing bodybuilding shows. Like I think if I've got up at 4 o'clock in the morning to do work and cardio and prep my meals before my little girl wakes up, and then I've watched them eat all of these nice meals in Dubai while I haven't, and then I've come
Yeah.
home. I think if I've gone further than I'm asking people, I can say to them, "Listen, you need to man the fuck up," and
Yeah.
you know, like I've done it, like I've done it. You haven't got an excuse. And I think for me, when people know that you've done it, and when people have seen that you've made it work, they are less inclined to slip because they're like, oh, well, I don't want to tell Hilly I messed up here or there because, and I know, and that's not that I'm going to tell people off, because this is another thing I say to clients. I'm not your dad. You don't have to ask me to do
Right.
things. You can
Right.
run things by me. We can discuss things. And I think this is another thing that coaches get wrong. They are the employer. I'm the contractor. They are
Yep.
paying me. It's
I
not me
work
to
for
go.
you.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's it. It's not for me to go, you shouldn't do this. You can't do this. It's for me to advise on the best way to do something, and it's for me to work. And this is the other thing. It's my job to work with my clients on getting them the results in the time frame and the manner that they want. So if someone wants to win their bodybuilding show, then they need to do it in a certain manner. But if someone comes to me and goes, listen, I still like to take my wife out once a month. I go golfing with the boys once a month and we have a drink. It isn't my job to go, no, you have to
Right.
live like a monk. It's my job to go, well, it may take us a couple of months longer to get where you want to be, but that's fine. And
Yep.
actually, a good coach will be able to work that in and still make progress. A bad coach needs you to live like a monk because they don't know any other way. Because, oh, it's what we were saying, they're just regurgitating what they've done before. So
Yep.
they don't know how to manage and handle it. Like, I've had clients that are like, listen, Lily, I party every Saturday and I want to look jacked when I go out with the lads. So I would design their plans around that.
Yeah.
And I would give them food at this point and they wouldn't eat at this point. And some people go, do you really do that? I'm like, the client wants me to make them look good on a Saturday night and still make progress.
Right.
So that's like, that's a
You're
task for
peaking
me.
them every week. Yeah.
Yeah, and I enjoy that task. And what they do
Yeah.
is they then stay in bed hungover till Sunday. They get up and have a protein shake. Then they get their off-plan meal. Then they go back to bed. Then they have a protein shake. Limits the damage.
Yeah.
And I literally I designed their plan like that because it's whatever the client wants. Same as if you build a house. If the client wants a house built a certain way, you don't tell them they can't. And for me, there's this really confusing dynamic at the moment with a lot of people where it's like, you've got to do what they say, nothing else. And I'm like, well, yeah, if you want to be a pro bodybuilder, but
Yeah.
a lot of the times that's why people stop coaching because they're not enjoying the process, because they're not doing it the way they want. They're trying to do it the way someone else wants, and that just doesn't work sometimes.
So let me ask you, because you had made this point and I've heard you talk about this. It seems like the majority of the coaches that you've entrusted to lead your process are American.
Yes.
So talk to me about that. I know that you worked with Scott Stevenson, if I'm not mistaken,
Yeah. So
and then
my
AJ.
first,
Yeah,
yeah.
tell
So
me about it.
my first coach was Alex Argonon, I think his name was.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, yeah. And so he passed away a while ago,
Yes,
but
yeah.
he was the guy. If you Google body fat pictures, I'm
He
pretty
was the
sure
one with
he
like the
he,
ranges, right?
yeah, and well, they used his picture for like the
The
0%, whatever
most
they call
shredded
it.
one. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So my mindset was like, listen, and we used to go on professional muscles meet with me and Jordan. We used to read the forums, because bodybuilding was much popular in the US for a long time before it was popular in the UK. Much more popular. So you would gravitate to there. So and I was like, listen, he is the most shredded man I've ever seen. So I want because I like to learn. I'm a big on learner. Every opportunity is a chance to learn. So I picked the guy that was the most shredded. And I understand why his clients got the most shredded. I ate the same meal plan, no variance, no cheat days, no high days for 16 weeks. And remember, this is
Mm.
a long time ago now, probably
Yeah, yeah,
15 years. He just tapered up my cardio. He just tapered up my fat burners. There was no change to the meal plan. And hand on heart, this was my first ever prep. I did not cheat on my diet once. Not my birthday. It made
yeah.
every other prep I've ever done a walk in the park because that one was hell. There was an advantage to it though. Everything else was easier since then because
Yes.
I suffered. I suffered, but to detriment, I ended up looking worse for it. And
Sure.
then the carb up was very moderate. It was like 500 grams of clean carbs for 2 days. And the look was okay. Eddie Elwood, who's a very, very famous UK bodybuilder, it was his show I did. And he'd seen me posing in the gym 3 weeks before. And he was like, you'd have come third if you turned up 3 weeks ago. He said, all you've done is got smaller.
Yeah.
But obviously, at the time, coaching wasn't like it is now. You got your check-in once a week, sometimes twice a week, but it wasn't as in-depth as it is now. And technology wasn't the same. It's why I don't have a lot of patience for my clients when they check in late. I had to get up and take pictures, load them up on my laptop, send them across to a guy in America and wait for a response. Now I'm like, are you joking? You can check in from bed while you're cuddling your bird or your pillow. You can't even get this. Do you know? I'm like, give us a break. But
Yeah, I
anyway, I
know. I
digress.
know.
So And then I think the major, and this is how my digestive problems started. I think because the diet was so severe and there was no post-show advice, there was no this, and this is not knocking Alex, it was just the way it was at the time. My food focus at the time, and I was only
I'm sure
24,
it was
20.
insane.
Oh, I was only 24, 25 at the time. I had a list of food like this.
Oh yeah,
I
you got a
did,
list of the restaurants you're going to. Yeah.
yeah, we didn't use any diuretics for it, but I had to take one of my dad's Lasixes afterwards because I think I'd gained
Oh, to get some of the water off.
I think
Oh.
I'd gained 23 pound in 24 hours. My nose was bleeding. I was I don't even get high, smoke weed, but I was
Yeah.
going to see my mate to get stoned just so I could eat the next meal that I'd planned to
Yeah.
eat.
Oh man.
I mean, everybody does it, but
I
I
did it,
just
dude.
think
I have a crazy story about my first show.
uh,
I did
everybody
a
does.
little longer, but I did like 40 something pounds in 7 days. Like a week later, I
Yeah,
was like
a week
40
later,
something
yeah,
up, and
yeah.
it was like, oh man.
Everybody does it, but so that was Alex, and then because my food focus was so high, I was eating oats all of the time. I would mix protein powder in
Yeah.
with them, nut butter, because I was trying to crave these sweet creams. Anyway, I've still got the journal saved on my laptop where my stomach problems get worse and worse over time. I wasn't working with Alex; I'd stopped. It was my own work, but I just think I starved myself too much. I
Yeah.
didn't eat any other foods apart from these set. I could even tell you the meals. The first meal was 2 packs of instant oats and 50 grams of whey.
Okay.
The next two meals were 8 ounces of cooked chicken and 4 ounces of cooked rice. The third meal was 8 ounce. No, the third meal was a protein shake, 2 scoops, and 5 rice cakes. And I used to come all the way back from university so I could mix it into a paste and spread it on the rice cakes
Yeah.
just so
Yeah.
it tasted
Yeah.
nice. Then it was 8 ounces of cooked steak, 6 ounces of cooked sweet potato, and then a protein shake before bed. And I ate that and only that for 16 weeks. Nothing added, nothing changed, no high days, no
So there's
unplanned
no
meals.
variety, and then you're starving on top of it. So it's like
Yeah,
your
yeah,
gut was a
yeah, yeah.
mess, dude. Then you're doing all the
And
oats.
yeah, and then after that, I'm just trying. Oh, so I've suffered with, and I'm pretty sure that's what caused me the issues. Anyway, then I was like, right, well, now I want to work, and I was reading a lot on Intense Muscle, Skip Hill's board with
Yeah.
Dante and Scott Stevenson, and I was like, right, well, I want to work with the cleverest person in bodybuilding, which is, I would say, even
I
now,
would still
Scott
say it's
Stevenson.
Scott. Yeah.
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. So I worked with Scott for about a year and a half, did an off season, did a prep, and then Jordan worked with him afterwards, and then quite a few other English people did, like UK based bodybuilders, should I say. Worked with Scott. I think in between that, I'd worked with Phil Hernan for a while, who was an IFBB guy, who was a moderator on, but we didn't really get on great. He wanted you to eat like all natural diet. So the carb sources were only fruits, the meats were only lean meats, and the fats were
Interesting.
only oils. And he wanted you to have his liquid aminos between meals.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there was so every meal was a set macro,
Yeah.
and then you would only eat to hunger. There was no amount of meals. You only ate when you were hungry.
What?
You trained 3 days on, 1 day off. You started on 250 mg of test. When things slowed down, you added a mill of test. And his
Okay.
theory was, and his theory was, as the drugs went up, you would get stronger, you would train harder, which would increase your appetite, so you would eat more, and it would be. And I spoke to someone else, and they were like, "Yeah, yeah, I've worked all the way up to about 3 gram of test at the moment." And I was like, or 2.5, whatever it was, and I was like, I'm not sure whether I like the idea. Anyway, we ended up having an argument on the board because he didn't like me.
Yeah.
He didn't like me questioning things, and I get it. And don't get me wrong, I look back and I was like, if I'd have probably just kept busting my doors up, I'd have probably got massive, to be honest. That was
Yeah.
me where, because I'm terrible for overthinking, like a lot of people do now. And I
Sure.
think I was wanting it to be more complicated. I still sometimes use the training program he gave me. It was fantastic. But I think I was wanting something a bit more overcomplicated. When actually, when I think about it now, take a little bit more drugs, eat a little bit more food, train a little bit harder, and just keep rinsing and repeating
The
the
basic
process.
principle, that's kind of what the off season
It
is.
is, it is really. And I think I was just looking for something that had a bit more thought in because I was paying
A
him.
little more
When actually,
detail.
yeah, when actually, how much of it does it need? Anyway, Phil Hernan, then Scott Stevenson, and then I didn't have a coach for a while. I coached myself because there's only 10% of my right pec left attached.
Yeah.
I've got two slip discs, a break in my spinous process, and a terrible digestive system. So I was always like,
That
what's
and
the
you're a
point?
tall white guy. So you were the last person that was meant to be a bodybuilder.
That's it. And before I tore my pec, I was in Flex magazine as described as perfectly symmetrical. I'd come
Oh,
second
nice.
off grade in all my shows, and then literally 5 weeks after, I put a big hole in my chest, and I was
What
like,
were you?
"Oh,
Were you
you
flat
right."
benching?
No, do you know what? I was decline benching, just 3 plates
I tore
aside.
my pec decline benching,
Yeah,
decline
but
barbell.
I'd done it loads before, but I was in a warehouse gym, and it was a week before Christmas,
It was
and it was
freezing.
cold. Yeah.
Oh
Do you know what the
man.
most annoying? Do you know what the annoying thing was? We were having a bench press competition the week after. If I'd have done it then, I'd have said, "Well, it serves you right." But
Right.
I had an Under Armour top on, a t-shirt on, a hoodie on. I'd even done rotator cuff exercises. I'd done everything, but it
It
just
was
went
just
pink.
meant to go. It was meant to go.
Yeah, so I'd stop looking at coaches because I was like, this is an awful lot to give somebody. It's
Let
an
me cut you,
awful,
Haley. Let me cut you off for a second. I want to go
yeah,
back because I don't know tons of people in today's day and age. Like I don't know that Scott really takes many clients. So
yeah.
from your firsthand experience, like what did you take from your time with Scott? Like if anything that you still applied, like whether it was with yourself when you self coached or with clients now.
Loads of stuff I still apply now. So a
Yeah.
couple of the main ones, higher protein, higher amounts of protein are just key for building muscle. I still
Yeah.
agree with that. If people's digestion don't handle it, then that is they need to be lower.
Different story.
But
Yeah.
yeah, but more protein builds more muscle. In prep, what Scott had me do was start off with I think with a Romazin, then go to a Arimidex, and then go to Letrozole, if I remember rightly. And he explained to me that your estrogen needs to be lower to get rid of stubborn fat. And that was his way of doing it. And I still believe that to this day. Now, I don't rotate them like he does. And I did even fall, what would be the term? I fell foul of getting into this trend of maybe you don't, it was a UK trend. Maybe you don't need AIs because they're bad for you. Do this or do that.
I did the
And
same thing. And it seemed like
yeah,
the guys didn't get as hard.
they didn't. And do you know what I did? So I did it with clients who had already prepped before. So
Mm.
I could go back and look at how they
You could compare
changed
them.
and
Yeah.
compare. All of their stubborn body parts were not getting leaner at the same rate. The stubborn
Yep.
body parts were holding. Soon as I brought the Riminex back in, stubborn body parts went in. So his explanation and allowing me to understand estrogen needs to come down over time is something that I still live by this day. And if you've got a stubborn body part that's never been in, so if someone comes to me and they're like, Hilly, my glutes have just always been an issue, I will start lowering their estrogen earlier than normal because they need to be in a low estrogen environment for longer to get
Yep.
at that stubborn area, in my experience. Something that I swear by and I sort of help other people with in terms of their coaching. Scott did a mock show run with me, a complete running,
Mm.
loading, dehydrating, and a mock show day. And I did that about 10 years ago. And ever since, with all of my clients, we do mock loads, mock show runs.
Mm.
So like we'll have a Sunday that is a pretend show day. They will send me pictures every 2 hours. We will run the meals as if it's show day. And then I will use that to experiment. Lower fluid on a morning, lower food. I'll
Right.
increase the
Right.
meals in the fluid as the day goes on. And then he gave me a full 7 day plan that was how the week would look. And then it might change as we went on, but I knew what we were doing. And I do that with every client and have done so ever since
Interesting.
because for me, if I've already run through what potentially your loading days might look like, and what dehydration might look like, and what show day might look like, if you've already done it, even if you're a first time, whether you're a first time competitor or if you're a very seasoned competitor, but you haven't worked with me, it reduces stress because you can see how it plays out. And I
Yeah.
might do that I might do that at 2 or 3 weeks out. And then when the show comes, and then at 1 week out, I might try a different load or a different short, and I will even use diuretics during these mock shows to see how they play out. So by the time most of my clients get to show day, they already know exactly what they're doing. They know how the week looks. And by exactly what I mean is they know what the days are going to look like roughly.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
So I give them a 7 day run through Monday or Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, what you're training at the moment, what your meal plan's going to be, what your
Right.
high days will look like, because we know what worked, what
Water.
your low
Yeah.
days. Everything's on there. And then they check in, send me the weight before meal five, the weight before meal six, and then the weight on wake every day. So if it's clients in other countries, I can be like, whoa, hang on. At 9 o'clock yesterday, they were 90 kilo. At 9 o'clock today, they're 88 kilo. Shit. If
You
they're
need to
two
eat.
kilo lighter, if they're
Yeah.
2 kilo lighter at 9 o'clock tonight, I know they're going to need a high day tomorrow. So
Yeah.
let's up your carbs the night before. It's not a normal. So I can preempt what we're going to do. I can give them a heads up.
Yeah.
Again, stress relief. If you've got a sheet of paper that lets you know roughly what you're going to do every day and what you need, the amount of stress that is reduced is fantastic. Just makes the show better. Every one of my clients are like, Hilly, this is so different. It's just enjoyable. I say to clients, it is my job to make this enjoyable for you. I'm the one that does the stressing. All you've
Yeah.
got to do is send me good pictures, good information. All you've
Yeah.
got to do is send me the information and let me stress about it. If you stress, you're causing out us both problems. Let me
There's
think of
nothing
where.
as a coach there. I don't know how you feel about this. I've told people if someone's ready at the end, there is nothing a coach can do, drugs, food, water, anything that is more important than just keeping the person stress free.
Stress free, stress free, stress free. And the clients that always look best on the day are the ones that can just lie down and go to sleep in a corner
They're
or
just
relax.
chill. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. The ones that are like, I think I'm flat. Have a look at me. I think I'm flat. Have a look
Yeah.
at me. I think I'm flat. I'm like, one of what? So Riz, who owns Engineer Muscle, me and him are best mates.
Yeah.
On show, I prepped him for an awful long time, helped him with his coaching and that. And
Yep.
he he on show day is a nightmare. He'd be Hilly. I
Is
think I'm
he?
flat. What?
Well, he
Hilly,
seems like such a cool customer.
he is, but on show day he's a bit like,
I get
and
it. I get it.
he'd be lied down and he'd jump up and go, I'm flat, you need to look at me. I'm like, of course you're flat. You've been lied down for 90 minutes, mate. Like, what do you
Right.
think was going on? And
Right.
whereas one of my other clients, very good friends, Gaz, he'd be asleep. I've got to go and nudge him. Wake up, you need to
Yeah.
eat this meal. Do so. And it's just too
They're
good.
the best.
Alexander that won the PCA Pro Show the other week, he was just asleep, chilled all day. We just had to go and prod
Is
him to
that
get
the
him to wake up.
classic guy?
Yeah.
Dude, he's mega, like you guys would say.
Yeah, he's mega. He's doing the worlds in 2 or 3 weeks
Oh,
because
nice.
there's some more money to be won there, and
I
then
was
we're
gonna
going to
say
roll
they're
over
paying guys, aren't they?
2.5
Yeah.
grand he won for the last one, which is a good payday.
That's a
And
nice
then next,
payday, man.
yeah, and then next year we're going to go IFBB pro card hunting because
Nice.
he's got the physique, he's got the physique
He's
for it,
got
he's
the
got the
shape
mindset
for
for
it,
it.
dude. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry to cut you off, but you're
No,
talking
no,
the show day mocks, which I could totally. That's something different, honestly, than what I do, and I've even felt like I've seen, at least here in America, I've seen guys that I don't totally consider as credible, like do this. So then it's
yes.
just in my mind, I'm like, man, are you just doing this because you don't know what to expect or you don't know what you're looking at? But from hearing it from your perspective and Scott's perspective, I mean, these are two of the most credible people I know. So it makes sense
It's
because as a client, I would be so confident that like I know at that point, I can just put it in your hands and you got it.
That's it, and not just that. And like I say, although the baseline it's there on the paper, it will say to be confirmed,
Yeah,
because
subject to
things
change.
always
Yeah.
change. Because if you start getting anxious as you get into the show, you kick out more water. If you're not
Yes.
sleeping right, But if you can just, and I'll give you an example. Working with AJ, which we'll discuss next, was fantastic.
Yeah.
I got the best result of my bodybuilding career. I enjoyed it. One of the only things that wasn't great, but even though it sounds like it's great, he would go 2 meals by 2 meals. So I wouldn't know what I was doing apart from 2 meals forward. Now that created me a lot of stress because I've got a little girl, I've got a business to run, and I'd
Right.
be like, how can I plan what I'm doing? And it
Right.
created me, and that was one
Then if
thing
you
where
got to
I'm like,
travel for the show and you're in a hotel
yeah,
or something, it's
and that.
tough.
And don't get me wrong, I go meal by meal with my clients. So say there's a
Yeah.
Saturday or Sunday show. On Friday, they are sending me pictures every between meals and weight. But I still know roughly and we know what they know what their meals are going to look like. So they're
Right.
just going to have to increase or decrease amounts. So they've
That's
been
it.
able to pack, they've been able to prepare. Like on a show day, I like to use cream of rice on show days. And and
Yes.
and what I'll do is they'll have a set 1, 2, and 3 meals, and then they'll have two floating meals that are bigger meals. So I can switch these meals in or out depending on what's going on.
Mhm.
So even though they can be prepared, but we've
Yeah.
also got the flexibility and variety. So that was one thing where this was great and this is not. But I just find for clients they're always like, this is great. And I tell them to print it off so they can fill it in as we go so they don't get
Mm.
confused. And then not just that. I fill it in on my side, so it does not matter where I'm at. I've got all of their information for the week in one document
I
that
like
is
it.
separate from everything else. Yeah.
Um,
So
so let's move forward then. So those are a couple of things you took from Scott.
yeah,
You said you worked on your own for a bit. Tons of people, I'm going to skip forward a little bit. Tons of people wanted to hear about your experience with AJ.
yeah,
So let's, you said it was a great experience. Talk to me about like what the prep was like, what the peak. Everyone, half of the questions are like, what are AJ's peaks like? And there's rumors, or I've talked to different guys that have worked with AJ, so I had an idea. For my show this year, I did something that I know that he does, something similar, I should say. I wasn't working with him, but I jacked the Winstrol up, I jacked the Proviron up, I used Letro instead of Arimidex, and I look insane. I look nutty.
yeah.
So, talk to me about that, and talk to me if there are things that you took from it that you use.
So working with AJ was fantastic. I picked him because he's a family man. He's very big
Yeah.
into digestion. He was at the top of my list. I think I messaged him for over a year to get with him. I
Oh
waited
wow.
time to get in with him. Yeah, we had to do a consult and stuff. So I very much enjoyed and appreciate because he works with very high level bodybuilders, and
Yes.
although I class myself as a decent coach, I don't class myself as a high level bodybuilder. So
Right.
anyway, off
Yeah, he's
season was
got guys
great.
at the Olympia and the Arnold. Like,
Exactly that.
you
Exactly
know.
that. Yeah. Off-season check-ins were only every 2 weeks. They weren't every week, and I think that is more than adequate. Although people feel they want a weekly check-in, he covered all of the details. The off-season diet sometimes had a kilo of beef in it a day, which was rough. He
So
liked
high
he liked
protein.
protein was very high, 450 to 500 grams. Carbohydrates were very high. He's very big on his super saturation days, both in the off-season.
Oh, he
I
does
know
it in
I
the
would.
off season too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know at one point I was doing high day, which was like 1100 grams of carbs, medium day, which was 900, medium day, low day, which was five, then another 1100 grams of carbs.
Man,
His
you were
high,
shoving. Holy shit.
uh,
What were you
it,
weighing?
I think I was about two, I think I peaked at 248 or 249 pounds.
Oh, fuck.
And
Okay.
he was very big on the high days, but his high days are very low in fat, very high in
Yeah.
carb. I was
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
I was getting people messaging me saying, "How are you getting all of those carbs in without getting your fat up?" Sort of thing.
I know.
But I was eating an awful lot of rice, cream of rice. So he was big on that. Uh, Training was much more high volume, which was again why I picked to
Mm,
work with him here, because I am very low volume bred, low
yeah.
volume.
I
It's
feel like all
and
you guys over there just taking
yeah,
one or two sets to the fucking
yeah,
brink of death over
fucking
there.
that's it. Yeah, and my tendons and my joints were suffering. But
Yeah.
every time I tried to make myself do high volume, I would slowly reverse back to the low volume, where
Were
I
you
was like,
bored?
if I, yeah, yeah, I think it's just where my mindset is. I enjoy those lower sets to
Yeah.
death, as you would say. Whereas my mindset was, well, if I hire someone of AJ's caliber, who I respect, I
Yeah.
will stick to it.
I better
Mate,
listen to him.
the
Yeah.
first workout he gave me, I kid you not, I messaged him saying, "Is this correct?" It was the amount of volume in legs,
Oh
everything was set.
man.
Everything was set to 20. Set everything. Four set to 20, five set to 20, set to 20 with 3 second negatives and 3 second positives. I kid you not. I remember sending him a WhatsApp saying, "I'm not being funny here, and I don't think I'm a pussy. I'm pretty sure I train hard. But after doing 5 exercises of 5 sets of 20 reps, I can't do a set of 100 sissy squats." I sent it to the lads. They were like, "Surely he's testing your ear just to see if you tried it."
Yeah. Yeah.
But
He's testing your stones. Yeah.
mate, those were all quads. There was another four hamstring exercises to do afterwards. I was like, I can't walk. But I did all of the volume and all of the sets. So off season was great. Prep was very good. There was no high carb days for the first 8 or 10 weeks. There was no off
Yeah.
plan meals. He was
Yeah.
very strict, very stuff. One thing I will say is I messaged him saying, "I'm going to." This was not in prep. This was an off season. "I'm going to a wedding for 3 days. Just letting you know." He just didn't acknowledge it. He wasn't interested if you were doing social stuff. But the thing is, he
He's
is a
got these
coach.
guys that are winning the Arnold. Like he
Well,
doesn't want to hear it.
this is what I say. If you hire him to reach a goal, he is doing everything in his power to get you to that goal ASAP. So his mindset's right, in my opinion. And this comes back to what I always say about picking a coach that is suitable for yourself. If you want a coach that's going to work around your social stuff and have balance, pick a coach that does that. If you want a coach that's going to get you your bodybuilding goals, then you pick a coach for that. Do you know what I mean? Prep. So that for me, I've never seen anybody send something of AJ's, but I've had people tell me what AJ told someone to take. The drugs weren't astronomically high. In off-season, test was 700. Equipoise was 300 or 400. He liked to use test suspension, which now I'm a fan of, You
Mm,
know, yeah, he had me take that pre-workout 3 days a week. I'd never used it before. Now I'm a big fan. Uh,
okay.
Growth hormone, he only wanted you to use pharmacy grade, nothing else. In the off season was 4 to 5 IU. In prep, we went to 6. He wanted me to push to 7 or 8 at one point, but I was like, that's like the cost of my mortgage. If
You're
I
like,
was,
dude, I could have bought a new car with this.
yeah. Do you know what it is? I did it for a short period of time, and I'll tell you why. My physique doesn't warrant that much money spent on drugs. But
Sure.
I have clients that are pro bodybuilders that are close to getting their pro card. It is my job to see if something works or not. So I went to 7 for a bit, and what my mindset was, I don't justify it as a bodybuilder. But if going from 4 to 7 or 4 to 8, and I did 8 for a little bit, if I see this mutation, then at least I can say to my clients, listen, bank some cash and put it away. Because when I jacked my growth up to 8, I tell you what, I saw the difference. So the difference for you is a pro card. So it's important for me to understand that. But
Yep.
I didn't see any difference. But also, I can put in 4 IU, 6 IU, 8 IU. I never get carpal tunnel syndrome. I don't really hold, like Riz's hands have doubled in size.
I'm getting the
I'm
surgery
thinking,
done. I got it so bad.
yeah, where for me, if and we're all using the same growth, it's walked out of a Turkish pharmacy, it's
Yep.
tested Chinese. I don't. I put 10 IU in. I don't gain any more weight on the scale.
That's
Like, I
crazy.
just, and so am I not a good responder, or is it a
Yeah.
good thing because I get the response but I don't get the sides? Am I just,
Right.
you don't really know, but I take it because everybody else takes it and I should,
Yeah.
but I don't get the response. So maybe I just, that's why the dose didn't do much for me. But anyway,
Sure.
so he liked to push the growth if you've got the funds to do so. We would use we would use insulin on high days. When we first started in the off season, he didn't use Lantus, just fast acting with meals. In
Okay.
prep, I don't know whether Lantus was quite new at the time. I don't know whether he changed his dynamic or he just liked to use Lantus in prep with a bit of fast pre and post, and it was different from off season to whatnot. But so he did high days with insulin in. Uh, Protein stayed very high, 450, 500 grams right the way through. Protein never came down. So it allowed me to diet on more food. We
Yep.
did run some of this. We went to a lot of fish at one point, which was miserable, but
Yeah.
again, it worked.
It
It worked, you know
works.
what I mean? Cardio for me never went too high because when I went to Dubai, I was averaging 20,000 plus steps a day. So a lot of the time, he had to pull my cardio back because I was doing so much. My body was responding well. He gave me an off plan meal at about 5 weeks out, and I was furious because I'd been in Dubai for 4 weeks and I could have had a gold wrapped burger. I could have
Right.
had anything
Right.
right on the beach. He waited
He was
until
trying to
I'd been
save you a
back.
couple bucks, dude.
Yeah, yeah, he waited until I'd been home for 3 days in the UK and told me to go and get a burger and fries. So I
Yeah.
had to drive down to a nasty burger place to get it. But apart from that, yeah, I was furious, furious. But apart from that, there was no off-plan meals really. I don't think I got another one. We just used high days. And what he would do is he would reduce my sodium down on the high days, which,
So you
and
didn't
I
blow
believe
up quite as much.
so you didn't blow up to keep the water retention down while you're keeping the metabolism spinning. I don't do that with clients. It's not something I kept in because it made me feel a bit funky. I didn't feel I was
Okay.
getting the I didn't feel I was getting the pumps from the high
Yeah, that's
days.
almost half of the reason you want it, like that. And
Yeah,
it's like as
so
a coach, I almost would feel like, okay, the carbs are the thing that's changing. I want to keep everything else the same to see
yeah,
the
yeah.
response.
But he didn't do that in peak week. It was just a high carb day thing he did for whatever reason. Uh, the other thing was something that I didn't like, but I did it. I am very insulin sensitive. So if I, even in the off season, if I go to Costa and get a smoothie, or if I train and just have carbs, no, if I train and just have cream of rice and a protein shake, I will hypo 45 minutes later, no
Yeah.
matter what.
Yeah.
Without insulin, without anything else, I just hypo. I've seen
Yeah.
me have the worst hypos in prep from just drinking a smoothie on a high day.
Yeah.
So I have to be careful. But we still kept my high days zero fat, super high, and I was just spending them hypoing all day, which took
Yeah.
away the bit of enjoyment, which took away a bit of the enjoyment from them personally. So that's something that I wouldn't keep in, but it worked, and I imagine for everybody else, it's totally fine. Just
Yeah.
for me being so super responsive,
You're
I was just,
already it's sensitive. And then you
yeah, I
put
was just.
Lantus in all day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was personally just constantly hypo, and other people probably wouldn't. It was just for me, it took away the enjoyment thing. Uh,
Yeah.
Peak week, AJ's service was fantastic. The setup was great. He gave me the plan. He would give me sort of a Wednesday complete layout, then a Thursday complete layout. Everything was walked through, so it wasn't set out how I do it, but it was all set out. You got everything you needed. He gave you a shopping list at the start of the week of everything you needed to
Mm.
get, which was huge. Um, I did a high day Wednesday because my weight dipped hard. Show was on Sunday. So we got a high day, then we went back low Thursday, then higher Friday, but they weren't drastically high. They had fats in them, they were very balanced. He manipulated water. We didn't manipulate salt. Uh, we used eighths of diazides, which is something I do as well. So I've been doing this. It was nice to see AJ do this because I've done it for a long time. I like to give people a quarter of a dizide, and then I will taper it in from 2 days out. And what I tend to do is, so half-life of Dizide is like 6 hours, 6 to 8 hours. So and the way I explain how Dizide works to people is, it's like turning a tap on. When you take Dizide, the tap's open a little bit more. Once the half-life's over and it comes out your system, the tap goes back to normal. So I like to what I'll say to clients is I want you to take a quarter of a Dizide, say Friday night for a Sunday show. Let's see what it does overnight. If we look a bit better and the flushing is good, I will keep food and fluid in and I'll put another quarter in. And where we're tracking the weight and the look, as long as the look keeps getting better and we look like we're filling up and getting harder, I'll keep the quarter of a dizide going in. If all of a sudden we look like we're flattening off, if weight drops too much, I'll just miss the next quarter and we won't have any. And then we might bring it back in. Very safe, very sensible approach that I've done for a long time. AJ did something very similar. He would use an eighth for before bed, and then he would use another eighth here or there, depending on what was doing. But we would again, we barely used any. I think we used a couple of eighths here or there. He had proviron up very high, which he's known for doing.
Yeah.
I had 100 meg of proviron in from 4 weeks out. It
Yeah.
definitely kept me. It definitely kept me fuller. It's something that I do with clients now. I seem to retain more nitrogen retention. I was very impressed. We went higher in the last week, not super to 150, not as high
Yeah.
as I've heard other people go. And the logic's there. It's not toxic at all. It's not caused any issues. I personally don't feel that it did anything for me going that high.
Okay.
I think I think being at 100 is great. I do it with clients. I don't think I got any more from going any higher. So I think,
Okay.
that's something that I take, something that I do. I just don't go there. We had a Arimidex in like I would with clients from 6 or 8 weeks out at a lower dose. He tapered it up, something that I already do with clients for the reasons that we said before. Estrogen needs to be lower. He brought Winstrol in a little bit earlier than I would at about 9 or 10 weeks out. But I
Oh wow.
believe that, yeah, but I know that quite some, it was either it was around 8 or 10 week mark. Normally I would do it at 6, but I know quite a few American coaches do that, and I understand why. It was a lower dose and then it was tapered up. It's something that I now do with clients that struggle to get in shape. I will
Yeah.
now do that early as well. So, and I've tested it with clients and I feel it's a benefit. So I might just put 20 mig in at 8, 9 weeks out, and then
Okay.
I might taper it up as we sort of get closer. It never went ridiculously high. I think we did either 75 or 100 for the last week.
Yeah.
Not not these 200 mig doses that I've heard other people
I've
say
done
he
it.
does.
Yeah, I did
Yeah. Well, well,
it.
yeah, so we didn't. We didn't go that high, and I didn't put any extra drugs in. He
Yeah.
had me. We had Anavar in. We had Anavar in from about 12 weeks out, I think,
Yeah.
but just pre-workout. He
Yeah.
then pulled that. He then pulled that for halotestin. It didn't go very high. It was only 20 mig,
Yeah.
and then we used Superdrol on loading days, which was very interesting. And
Mm.
that and what I made a point of doing with AJ was I kept a personal journal of what changes he made and
Yeah.
why I thought he made them. It was like a game.
Yeah.
If I couldn't work out why he made them, I would ask him.
Yeah.
And I'd said that from the start. I want to understand why we're doing things, so I will ask. And he was like, "That's absolutely fine." So we know Superdrol helps increase glycogen storage. So he was putting the halo in for the hardening effect, and
Yeah.
then he was just using Superdrol to enhance the glycogen storage of the load, which is actually a very sensible thing to do. So
Yeah.
I like that. I also do that with clients now. So that's something else that I kept.
Mm.
Uh,
How did
he
you
brought.
feel?
I felt. I felt great to a point, but I also felt very dry and very hard because
Yeah.
we had a Rimidex in.
Yeah. You have those
Uh,
you have the Proviron and the Winstraw. They're making
Wow,
you
yeah,
dry,
yeah,
you know?
yeah. So I felt good. I don't really suffer like terribly
Yeah.
with anything. my body doesn't seem to run flat. I've been coaching three of my mates, local clients, and we've done 3 days of zero carbs. Do you know, before, like 8 years ago, when everybody used to deplete real fucking hard,
Yeah,
like Scott Stevenson, he liked to deplete you really hard for 3 or 4 days, no carbs, not fat loading, but a touch more fats, and
sure.
then he would load you hard. So there was like four of us all depleting zero carbs. And my dad was in the gym owner was in the gym, and everybody looks flat. And my dad in the gym owner, like, why do you look no different? Like, my body just doesn't seem to flatten off.
You have this
So
resilient body where it's like nothing really gets you one
no, it
way or
doesn't.
another.
It doesn't. No, it doesn't. I mean, I can stay awake in Ibiza for 3 days and I'm still all right as well. So it's really resilient, actually. Yeah, it's really resilient. And my blood work never skews. And I just don't flatten off. So I didn't
Yeah,
feel terrible. I mean, my estrogen must have been like minus 999,
yeah,
but I didn't. I didn't feel like I was on death's door. Do you know what I mean? But
yeah,
he
yeah,
managed. He managed the hydration very well. He reduced cardio down, all of the things you would, and we didn't use any T3. That was an interesting one.
Oh,
It's
interesting.
it's the
T4 or
first.
no?
T4 was in.
Yeah,
Clenbuterol was in. Clenbuterol never went higher than 80 or 100 micrograms. There was no T3 use. T4 was either 100 or 150. Like,
yeah,
when I hear what other people say, it wasn't to the extremes at
right.
all of what other people say. Like, everything was what I'd done before,
Yeah.
apart from the higher Proviron, to be honest. And
And the
then I
super
pushed
drill.
the growth higher. And the super drill I'd used, but not how he was using it. Because I am a big super drill fan. The way I look at things is, if I've got a classic guy or a men's physique guy, and I need a harder chiseled look, I'll go with Halo. If I've got a bodybuilding guy or someone that's a bit on the smaller side that needs the roundness, I'll go with Superdrol. And if I've got a really, really big guy that takes a lot to fill, but we struggle with his stomach, I might use Oxys because
Mm,
sometimes,
that's
I know I'm
I
going,
use that sometimes.
yeah, well, I'm going off topic a little bit, but what I think is what you've got to remember is if someone's got a wide and midsection, loading them on loads and loads of food puts it at risk. So if you can get some intramuscular volume from a drug first, why would you not use the drugs to get the volume? And you might need
Right.
to stress the stomach a little bit less. So I might use oxys, but anyway. But yeah, so those were the things that I thought he did good, did bad. He was a fan of a rebound cycle, so we went straight into a rebound cycle. Um, Something that I didn't like, because I had two shows that were 2 weeks apart. After the first show, there was nothing off plan. It was just have a nice. He literally messaged. I just put a little donut in my mouth, sent him the results that come second. He went, absolutely fantastic. Straight away, though, when I sent him pictures, that pose isn't good. That's not good. You need to change this. He was, oh, 10 minutes post show, pictures. This needs proven. That's not good. He was bang on it. And I mean, bang on it. Hang on, give me 1 second. Oh, there you go. It's gone. Let me just bring this back up. There you go. I'm back.
Yeah,
Sorry,
you're
someone
good.
called me.
You're good. No, you're
Uh,
good.
and he was like, nothing off plan. Just having, he said, go for a nice steak and then straight back to work. Now, don't get me wrong, I didn't want anything off plan, but
Sure.
I hadn't really had any food focus up till this point, right? And I hadn't done any food with my partner, with my daughter, or anything like, not.
Right.
And after that, because we know how hard it is post show, my food focus got really bad for 2 weeks. Now, I personally think if he'd have said tomorrow morning, go out for breakfast with the family,
Yeah. Yeah.
have poached eggs on sourdough with
Yeah.
some turkey bacon, but
Sure.
just go and change your environment, or go out
Yeah.
on the night and have, you know, if because bear in mind the show didn't finish till 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock at night, so I wasn't even getting a steak or anything at that point. Do you know what I mean? I
That
think
it's 2 hours to just be a normal person.
that's it. I think, and what I say to clients is, you just need to not eat out of the same Tupperware bowl with the same spoon at the
That's
same
it.
table. You need the mental break.
You feel
So
like you're
that for
sharing
me,
something with the people that matter,
that's
like,
that's it. I didn't want to eat your pizza. I just
yeah,
think
yeah.
that anyway, I can't. And this is not me complaining about it. This is just me
No,
saying
no.
I think my food focus went high because of it.
Yeah.
But in 2 weeks after, and we had this show wasn't planned. We literally decided it a week out.
Well, that's probably why too. In his mind, this
That's
wasn't even the goal show.
exactly that. And the guy that beat me, I beat him 2 weeks later. So there's merit to
Nice.
everything. Do you know what I
Hell
mean?
yeah.
Yeah. But I
Hell
always
yeah.
remember when I got to the second show and we were backstage, all the lads, because we were all local, we know each other. They were like, Hilly, we all saw your video that you didn't get anything off plan afterwards, and we all said, there's no way any of us could have done that. How the hell you didn't eat? And I was like, well, he said don't eat, so I didn't fucking eat, did I? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but they were like, I can't believe you didn't do that. But there was merit to it.
Yeah.
Then we went into a rebound cycle. He kept me. His big focus was on staying lean, and this is
Yeah.
something that I put. This is something that I now put more of a focus on than I did before working with AJ. Keeping locked in during that rebound phase. Now, I personally don't like a rebound cycle, and I'll tell you why. I ran it, and I would never run them before AJ. I used to when I was younger, but because I promised myself I would do everything AJ suggested, I
Yeah.
did run AJ's rebound cycle. What I didn't like, can you hear me now?
Yeah. Yeah. I hear you the whole time. Yeah.
Hang on, you've connected 2 seconds, you've gone off. What happened? Talk now?
I got you. You hear me?
Yeah, I've got you now. I can hear you
Okay.
again. Yeah. Sorry,
All
it
right.
just went, my phone did something funky. Right. Can you hear me all right still?
Yeah. I got you.
Perfect. So we ran the rebound cycle and it was good. But then the problem was just as I started feeling good and back to normal, it was the end of the rebound cycle. And I feel personally that's a little bit wasted. For me, what I do with clients, we'll run an elevated cruise. I tend to find that you can recover all of your blood markers on 300 or 400 mg of total drugs. So
Yeah.
I'll run that. So you've still got enough drugs to grow. And we'll
Yep.
use food as the anabolic, as Dante used to say.
Yeah.
And then just by the time you're feeling fresher in the gym, which is usually 5 to 6 weeks, just as everything's getting going, you're still nice and lean, you're getting your mojo back, shall we say. It's time to get your bloods done. 9 times out of 10, bloods are great, and we can get into the cycle. And it's this mental run of, yeah. So I'd prepped 3 or 4 guys for shows around the same time I competed. And it was this real down thing for me of just as I'm putting all them on their cycle, I'm coming off.
Yeah.
But they were all up the exact same amount of weight as I was, but they'd done it on a cruise and I'd done it on a rebound. So
Right.
it now felt as if I was going backwards because then I had to sit still
Yep.
while they moved into a rebound. So that was something else. I just don't like rebound cycles. The only time I will do them with someone, one of my men's physique pro guys, he competed in September, maybe last year, the year before, and we were going to go again in March, but we needed more size. So we had a limited period of time. So we did run a rebound September, October, November. We cruised December into January, 6 weeks, and then we went at prep. So that's in those situations I will. But in general, it just doesn't make any sense to me. You're going to grow in that post-show rebound phase anyway. If you've got 400 megatest of total drugs in you, that's enough to grow on top of how sensitive your body is. Get yourself healthy. I change training with people, so I'll reduce the progressive overload work. It'll be more volume training. I'll taper it back up. Let's get fresh. If you're doing more volume in the gym, it means you can eat more food. We can build food up
Yes.
quicker.
Yeah.
Just put the body in this perfect position to grow, so then that we can grow.
Do you feel like too that's almost an opportunity? This might be bro science, but I did this myself coming out of my show this year. I was like, you know what? I like to train hard and I've always been kind of like a 2 set per exercise type of guy. And I was like, you know what? I've always done this, especially in certain body parts. I'm not super round, like my arms and stuff. So I'm like, you know what? Coming out of this show, I work with Justin Compton, and he's aggressive post show. And it's worked. I mean, I totally hear what you're saying. I've done it every way that you can do it, but I listen to my coach, So,
Exactly. That's what I did the same.
um,
Yeah.
so I did, and Compton was like known for crazy high volume. Like he'd do 30 sets of arms.
Yeah.
And I've talked to him, like, he came and stayed with me for a show last year and stuff. So I've gotten the chance to like really sit and pick his brain. And he's like, yeah, like every time I added volume, like I just got bigger and rounder. So that has always stuck in my
I'm a huge
mind, right?
Compton fan. Huge.
Yeah.
A lot of his mindsets and his opinions on things, I am fully in agreement with, without a shadow of
He's
a doubt.
a lot. There's a lot of similarity from my conversation with you and listening to you so much is that it's all common sense. Like without question, without needing to research anything. If you say, why did you put me on and have me do X, Y, and Z? He's going to say, because of this.
That's
He
why.
knows. But long story short, so I tried way high volume. And do you feel like I'll get to this? I started to almost feel like it was a chore and I was almost like a little bored by the end of it.
Yes.
But I will say it seems like it could just be like water volume or what, but do you think that's a good time to almost give yourself like almost a different look if you do that?
Uh, well, we do know that training with more volume, it's a particular type of hypertrophy that I can't think of the complex name. Is it
It's like
sarcoplasia?
sarcoplasmic. Yeah, yeah.
Sarcoplasmic. So training with more volume allows your body to be able to store more glycogen.
It
The
looks
other
like it.
thing is, if you look at most of the roundest, biggest bodybuilders, they all train with a shit ton of volume. Like it's
Yeah.
that common sense thing. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
Dorian had a specific look. James Hollinshead, great bodybuilder, has a specific look. Doesn't
Yes.
train with a lot of volume. He doesn't look like the other guys. You look
Bro,
at
then you go
Martin,
look at
look at
Martin Fitzwater or like Nathan
Andrew
Diasha.
Jacked. Andrew
Yes.
Jacked. Look at Andrew Jacked.
Yes.
Look at. I mean, it's like what we said before we went live. Common sense side. If you put all of the top 20 bodybuilders in the world in a line, the
Yeah.
majority of them are training. And then if you go through the ages, Phil Heath, Jay Cutler, Ronnie, like they're all doing loads of volume. Go all the way back to Kevin Levron, and they're all doing
Yes.
loads of volume. There
Yeah.
isn't there's and yes, Dorian was amazing, but I
Dorian's the
wouldn't pick
one
Dorian.
guy, but he looked way different than the rest of them.
And I wouldn't pick his look over any of theirs. I
I
know he was
know.
amazing, but I wouldn't want to look like that fucker personally.
I know. I know. Yeah, like if I have the opportunity to have Kevin's silhouette or Flex Wheeler's silhouette, like
Oh,
I'm taking theirs. I
Lee
love Dorian.
Priest,
I'm a
yeah,
Dorian diehard, but it's a different look.
whether it's
Yeah,
Lee
Lee
Priest,
Priest,
Kevin
dude, with the
Levron,
arms. My God. Like,
all of, and again, all of the volume. So that it's just this. So, and again, I know it works.
yeah,
I've done it, seen it work with AJ. For me, there's merit to all types of training.
it all
It all
works, right?
works,
Like, yeah,
right? So, my opinion is, why only do one? With my clients, what my goal is, we need to figure out what you enjoy doing the most, because what you enjoy doing the most, you will be consistent with and you will train your ass off with. So
yeah,
I will run people through periods of body part splits, higher volume, push
yeah,
pull legs, push pull arms, legs, upper,
yeah,
lower.
yeah,
Like for me, if someone's in a cruise phase, then it makes sense to do less volume
yeah,
and less frequency because your
yeah.
recovery is reduced. If someone's in a gaining phase, do more volume or more
Push it.
frequency because
Yeah,
you've got more recovery and more food. For sure. If you've been reducing your volume and trying to keep your strength into a show, your tendons will be battered, they will be dehydrated, your body is beat up.
yeah,
It doesn't make sense to stick with low volume. And if your hunger's through the roof, your appetite's through the roof, you want to eat. So burn more calories in the fucking gym. Do you know?
yeah,
Like don't keep your cardio at 20,000 steps a day. Do more in the gym, like
yeah,
because you will grow. And not just that, you're more insulin sensitive, your pumps will be bigger. So and not only that, if you're doing more volume, you will need less weight. Your CNS will get a rest, your joints, your tendons will get it. Like the logic there for me, do all the volume after a push show, 8 or
yeah.
10 weeks. Then it makes sense to potentially start putting a bit of focus on progressive overload and strength gains
Yes.
because you will have got stronger with the volume. So now you can reduce the volume and keep pushing strength. Like
Yeah.
there's ways that things play out for me that just make all of the sense.
I think about it too as a continuation of what you said. It's almost like then you use that time to now get strong, and it's almost like you solidify whatever that new tissue is that you just built with
Yeah,
the
definitely.
progressive overload, right? So, all right, man. I got a couple of questions. I don't want to hold you too long. You've already given me a ton of time.
I'm not in a rush too much at all. We can chat for another half an hour for me. We're good.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. Um, this was a super insightful question. I have a friend, Gabe, that he watches the show, and he is um, like a psychologist or kind of like a mental performance expert for the military. He helps like
Right. Interesting.
fighter pilots.
Nice.
And so
Wow,
he's
that's
const
he must be a very clever guy then, because that sounds like a very
very sharp guy, very thoughtful, insightful guy. So
yeah, I
anytime
bet.
he writes in questions, I'm like,
You know
all
it's going
right,
to be a good one.
this is going to be a good one. So he writes in and says, communication. What is good information versus irrelevant info that you see often during check-ins from clients? Like what is not enough and what is too much?
For me, people, it's that excuse sort of thing. Do you know? I've said this for a while. I always know a good check-in from a bad check-in because a good check-in will be reasonably short. A bad check-in that is paragraph after paragraph after paragraph. And for me, with my education experience, I keep a 30-30-30 split with clients. 30% are competitive athletes, 30 are lifestyle, 30 are health focused. They might have had eating disorders or
Right.
cancer or diabetes. So, and the reason I'm saying this is if I've got a bodybuilding client or a lifestyle client, I don't really need to know why you fucked up because you don't have an eating disorder. You don't
Right.
have, something that if I've got a client with an eating disorder, I need to know why they've been eating and why they've been doing this. If I've got a business guy that's high flyer, or if I've got a bodybuilding client that's in the off season, I don't need to know that you had an argument with your bird, so you went and ate 6 cookies. I just needed to know. And again, it comes back to I'm not your dad, I'm not your boss. You don't need to give me the drips and drabs of, oh, I had a stressful day at work and then the missus told me off and because of this and because of that, like I'm not going to tell you off. So I don't need to know the irrelevant stuff of why you ate the pizza because
Right.
they'll tell me that a client today told me he spent 2 days eating loads of chocolate and this for whatever reasons, right? But he didn't tell me how much. He didn't tell me what days. So he gave me all of the irrelevant information and
Right.
then left out the relevant because if he checked in today and his weight is done whatever,
Right.
I need to know were the 2 days Sunday and Monday? Has he had time to drop the weight off? Or were
Right.
the 2 days Wednesday and Thursday? Like
Right.
that would have been useful to me. What wasn't useful is it was because he argued with his mum's auntie and his missus was so that for me is irrelevant information where some of it would be relevant. In terms of other stuff, people give me excuses about why they couldn't get up to do cardio. Or they couldn't get up. Like for me, you get yes people and you get excuse people. If you've come to me to achieve a goal and I've set it up, I'll use my own as an example. I only sleep for 6 hours because if I want to pursue my bodybuilding and I want to keep up the response time with my clients and I want to spend all of the time with my daughter and I want to make sure I spend time with my partner, then there is only 6 hours for me to sleep at best. So I make everything else work. If you want to achieve the goals that you've set me out, and we have worked together on making sure that this all works your lifestyle. If you need to get up at 4:30 in the morning and go and walk or buy a walking pad, then that's what you need to do. I don't need to hear that, well, how do I do this? I'm a struggle to do this, or like you just need to get it done to a point. And that may be confusing when you've got other people saying you need 9 hours sleep. I'm pretty sure in every one of Ronnie Coleman's videos, he only slept for 5 or 6 hours. So if 6 hours was okay for Ronnie Coleman, it's going to be all right for me, and it's probably going to be all right for you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and and yes, you can listen to some of the other bodybuilders we mentioned that say that you need to do this before bed and you need to sleep for 9 hours. And if you are a full-time coach and a professional bodybuilder and you can sleep for 9 hours, then it may be better for you. But for the rest of
Right.
us, if you want to get everything done, there may not be 9 hours to sleep. So you just need to find a way and make it work. I
Especially
don't
if you
think
have like a schedule, like you aren't someone that just works for themselves. Like you have to be at work from 9 to 5. That means you got to be up
exactly
at 7, like,
that's it. But that's the guy I mentioned earlier that works in Holland. He has to get up at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, and, and
right.
and this is why I haven't got a lot of sympathy for people. I have clients that work on oil rigs that do bodybuilding shows that have to work 12 hour
That's
shifts.
wild,
They
dude.
do cardio. Like I see the efforts that people put in. So then when I hear some of the other excuses, and again, if it's a lifestyle client that's like, listen, Hilly, I just want to be healthier. I don't care how long it takes.
Right.
I don't want to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning. Then that's absolutely fine. And and
Right.
and that's not the person I'm talking about. When I've got someone that's like, I want to do this and I
I
want
want
to
to be a
smash
pro
these goals.
bodybuilder. Yeah.
Yeah, and then it's oh well, I can't do this. But why can't you? Like
Right.
you shouldn't. If AJ wanted me to do something, I found a way to do it, and
That's
and
it.
there was just no two ways about it. I was getting up at 9 o'clock, driving to a gym to make sure that the checking quality pictures. It's one of my my issues with clients. If you have hired me to help enhance your physique, you need to send me decent pictures, and it's on your job to take those decent pictures. You get people sending me pictures in the dark. I'm like, man, I can't even see you. How can I do my
Bro,
job?
what I've started to do now, because I don't want to sound like a jerk. I think I've been a little too um stern sometimes with clients, like where you have to remember I work for them, right? They're paying
That's
me.
it.
They're
That's it.
choosing to
That's what
pay
you
for me.
said.
So there's been times I've definitely been a little too stern, but there's also times like I have a guy in prep right now that like sends me pictures from a different spot in different lights every time, and half of the time he's a pale white dude and he's in the fucking shadows. And I said to him this morning, he sent me pictures. I said, "Do you look at these before you send them to
Yeah,
me?" And it's
it's
like,
not.
man, like, what do you expect me to do? Do you want me to guess?
And it's like what you say. There's and it's like what I said earlier. It depends on who the client is, to how stern you are. If
Right.
I've got a lifestyle client and the pictures aren't great, that's all right.
Well,
But
we'll figure it out. Yeah.
if you've got
Yeah.
a competitive bodybuilder, then that motherfucker should know that he needs. And this is the thing. This is the thing you see. So I respected. I respected AJ that he took me
Yes.
on. I felt privileged that
Yes.
he chose to work with me, the
Yeah.
same as I've clients that say the same to me, right? So I was a member of a gym near me. I would drive there at 5 o'clock in the morning and sit and wait outside to take pictures. If he wanted pictures at 9 o'clock at night, I would get out of my house because it's my job as the client to send him the best possible pictures for
Yeah.
him to work with.
Yeah.
Whatever he needed me to do, I didn't. I did it on time. It's like my check-ins were on time because they needed to be, because that's what helped to make his day work better. And yes, I am paying him, but it comes back to what we were saying before. I have never messaged anybody asking them to work with me. I don't put all these mad advertisements on. AJ didn't ask if I wanted to work with him. So therefore, I
Right.
didn't want to make his life more difficult. I was appreciative. I wanted to make sure that I ticked every box to make sure that he got the best service from me, even though I'm paying him, so that I could get the most from him. I wanted my pictures to be the best. I wanted to make sure that I was checking in on time so that he wasn't rushing my check-in. If I send him a check-in at 9 o'clock at night and I expect a quick reply, I don't expect that he's going to give me as much time as he would if I checked it at 8 o'clock in the morning, like he asked. How can
Right.
you expect anybody to? And I think that's where this two-way service needs to be of. How can you do your job right if you can't see the fucking pictures?
Yeah. Yeah. That's man, I could rant on that for hours.
Me too.
And
Me too.
I'm so grateful for all my clients and like I know they're doing their best, but also it's just some of the common sense stuff kind of drives me. I've because I've done this for so long and I was and still am in the athlete side of it also for so long. Like I'm excited to send Justin my check-in.
That's it.
Like I
This is
can't wait to send it as early as I can on check-in day
and
because then in my mind I'm like I'll get an earlier
I want
response.
the
Like
response quicker. This
these
is this is the
people
bit that
like
this
oh
is the bit that blows my mind. And again, it's not lifestyle clients, it's not health clients, it's the
yeah.
bodybuilding clients.
No, it's the
Because half
bodybuilders are the
my half,
worst.
do you know what the best thing is? Half my clients are coaches. They work with me because they want to learn, they want to
Yep.
expand their coaching, and I'm watching them post Instagram post about checking in on time. And I'll say to them,
And they don't.
motherfucker, you
Yeah.
can't even check in on time. What you on about your clients for? Are you mad? You check in at 10 o'clock in the morning? Are you crazy?
Oh man.
It's insane. But it's like you
It is
said,
insane.
we're very lucky to have our job now. But for me, the reason I keep mentioning bodybuilding and prep clients, I'm of the belief I want my check-in response ASAP. I want to know if I've done good. I want to know what's happening,
Right.
right?
Right.
I'm of the belief the clients that check in on time are the ones that I'm. And again, this is not including those that work night shift, not including those that are on different continents.
Right.
I'm
Right.
just talking about, man, the clients that are always the first ones to check in, the ones that are up and on the ball, are always the ones that make the most progress. The clients that the clients that are the ones that check in late, that are missing things, are always the ones. Because my opinion is, listen, if you can't send me a check-in from, yeah, you can take your pictures, right? You can get up and take your pictures. You can get back in bed and you can do it all from your phone. You can type in your check-in response from the comfort of your couch or your bed the night before,
The
and
night
then you've just got
before.
to fill in
Yep.
your weight and stuff the morning of, right? If you are ticking all of your other boxes, you know you're doing that because, like what you say, you want them, and I say, I want the most detailed response back, so I need to
Yep.
give the best efforts. The ones that can't do that, I usually find are the ones that it turns out we're not doing all of the cardio, or they weren't putting the effort into the cardio. There tends to be, I've been doing this almost 20 years, and there's definitely a trend.
Man, it's like the phrase, and I don't think that this is always totally true because if you're at a job that you hate or whatever the case is, sometimes it's not the case. But it is in this scenario, like you do one thing, like you do everything. Like you said,
That's
how
it.
can I trust you that you're going to do these 2 hours of cardio that I told you to do if you can't send this check in on time? Like,
That's
I
it.
don't know,
That's
man.
it.
Like,
It is.
I'm excited to send my check in off. Like, I'm excited to hear back from Justin, and not only that, but man, like similar, like you hiring Dr. Scott or AJ Sims. Like, man, when I hired AJ Sims or any really of the coaches that I've had, it was guys that I looked up to. And when
That's
they
it.
sent a response and I see that their name replied to my phone, I'm kind of blown
Exactly.
away. I'm like, Justin Compton is sending me a message back right
Exactly.
now. Like,
Exactly.
this motherfucker is one of the best ever. And he's taking the
Exactly.
time of his day to write
Yeah.
me up a response. Like,
Yeah.
so it's like knowing I'm sending that off to Justin Compton.
Yeah.
Like, I'm trying to impress him. I want him to think that I'm the
Exactly.
baddest motherfucker on his roster. Like, I'm on
Exactly that.
time. I nailed everything. I'm making progress. The posing looks good. The lighting and the backdrop are the same every time. Like, I want him, if someone asked him like what I was like as a client and I'm not around, I want him to be like, dude, that motherfucker is on the ball. He might
Exactly
not
that.
look like
Yeah.
Mr.
What? That's it.
Olympia,
What?
but
Of
he
course
is
you do.
on the ball. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, last one, and it would not be fitting of my show if we didn't talk about drugs a little bit. So
Yes.
multiple people wrote in, and I would love to know myself. This is almost a type of question that I would write. Um, this guy says Hilly's favorite mass gaining cycle. All things are equal: health, budget, etc. Include anabolics and peptides. So you got somebody that's healthy, willing. Let's say they just come off a cruise, and in my case, I got to grow from heavyweight to super heavyweight. What do you like?
I would probably be going initially testosterone, equipoise, and MPP.
Yeah,
I find that a very good mixture of drugs for growth because
yeah,
you usually find test plus nandrolone doesn't give you a 1 + 1 = 2 estrogen response. So your estrogen goes really high. As I was
yes,
saying before, equipoise controls estrogen really well. So they're working in synergy. The equipoise is increasing your red blood cell count a bit, so it's allowing more oxygen around the body. For me, if your body handles those drugs well, that is a super good. And the only reason I like MPP over Deca is for if in case there's an issue and you need to taper it down a bit, you've got more control over the ester. I will then, if someone can eat on it, have oxys in there pre-workout as a little tit and a little tip. And I pinched this from Chad Nichols. I saw it in a very, very old video he did, an old something. If oxy tends to ruin your appetite if you take it pre-workout, try taking it before bed the night before. It
mm,
seems to not offset your hunger so much. So I
mm,
would have those in if they can handle the sides. I don't like super drilling in a gaining phase. Everybody seems to run into appetite injectors, but the
yeah,
injectable version, you can get away for it for a lot longer than you can the oral version.
mm.
So that works pretty well. I would have test base in test. So test
Like
base is a
suspension.
no ester test, but
Yeah.
it's in oil. It's not in water.
Okay.
So test suspension is the water-based one. I would never use that because I don't like injected water ones. Test base is the oil version. I would have that in pre-workout. So what I would do if I was going all in mass, see how I'm getting a little bit excited talking about
Yeah,
this.
yeah, I love
I'd,
it. Let's hear it.
I'd be doing 4 to 6 weeks test base. Then I would pull that out and I would be doing 4 to 6 weeks oxys and I would go backwards
Okay.
and forwards based on
Okay.
response. And you can get really funky with that. You could change the oil, you
Yeah,
could
yeah,
change test. Depends how funky you want to get and how the client's response is.
yeah,
Growth hormone would be that as much as you can afford to take. So
yeah,
if I had someone with a limited budget, I would rather them do six or eight IU Monday, Wednesday, Friday than
yeah.
4 IU every day
I'm
because
with you.
a bigger bolus dose gives you a bigger
Bigger
IGF
peak.
response.
Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, if you've got all the money in the world, then 8 or 10 IU a day would be absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
I would definitely have
Hold on,
Lanticin
Hilly.
on
When do you
trade.
when do you like it? Are you taking a 10 IU shot before bed or what?
No, well, for me personally, not because it makes me feel groggy. If I do anything over
Okay.
6 IU to 8 IU, and I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and I start
Yeah,
work
yeah.
straight away, so I don't like being groggy. So I'm at the moment I'm doing 4 IU pre-gym,
Yeah.
and then I'm doing 4 IU pre-bed on training days. On a rest day, I'm doing 6 IU on its own pre-bed. If
Gotcha.
so, if I've got to, I still would always prefer 5 IU before the gym and 5 IU before bed personally,
Okay.
because what's the guy? John Meadows, the doctor that he would always,
Serrano.
Dr. Serrano. I always remember watching his videos and him saying pre-workout is the most logical time to take growth hormone because of its mechanism actions. It's
Yeah.
upregulate the uptake of certain amino acids. It's anti-catabolic. So I think the 10 IU in a day is going to give you a big IGF spike, and you're
Yeah.
taking it every day. So your IGF's going up. So
It's
why
not going
would
to
you
make
then
you any
want,
smaller.
so then why would you not want to manipulate these little benefits that you can
Yeah.
get before workout and before bed? If I was
Dr.
just
Scott
doing
just
six,
said the same thing. He said
yeah,
like
if,
two
if I if
hours intramuscular pre-workout.
yeah, if I was on a limited budget and I was just doing 6 IU every other day or 3 times a week, I would be doing the 6 IU all before bed just to get the biggest IGF spike I could.
Yep.
Uh, I would have Lantus in there. I would have fast acting insulin
Hell
in
yeah.
pre post. Peptides wise, I wouldn't have any of these new funky peptides in yet, if I'm being honest.
Hilly, hold on. With the Lantis, is that every day? Is it training days?
I will normally
Three
start
times a
just
week?
I will normally start just training days. If I'm in an
Yeah.
all-out mass phase, it'll be just training days.
Yeah.
Based on people's blood glucose and how high their food is, I
Yeah.
might end up on 20 or 30 IU on a training day and maybe 10 or 15 on a rest day.
Yeah.
If someone has a weak body part and we're trying to focus, I might have them on a bit more on the weak body part day, and they might have a super
Yeah.
high food.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Hell
I
yeah.
I've pushed the weak body part up to 40 or 50 IU with clients.
Yeah.
AJ had me go a little bit higher than that on a weak body part. I didn't find there was any benefit going
What's a little
past 40,
higher? Spill the
75,
beans. Okay,
seventy-five.
I just got done with a little end at the end of my cycle. I did a couple weeks of 70 IU on like I had like an arm shoulder day twice a week, and I need to bring those up.
I'm the
Now,
same. I need more arms, more delts, more chest.
man, we're tall and white. That's what the deal is,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
I don't know about you. So I wore a continuous glucose monitor during
Right.
most of my rebound. I just am fascinated by the data, and I wanted to
Yeah, yeah,
see what the response was from
yeah, yeah,
different foods, from different habits. Like
yeah,
I
yeah,
was running a bunch of GH, so I'm like, you know what? How much of a difference does a post meal walk make? You know, like shit like
yeah.
this. Um, I found like, especially as my food was higher and higher, I found like, they say Lantus is 24 hours. I get that. I felt like I would take it in the morning, and 8 hours later, it was like I was on no insulin.
It's
So I
so
started
it's
splitting it.
from my personal experience and from additional research. Lantis is definitely not 24 hours. It was claimed to be, but it
Yeah.
seems to only be active for 10 to 12.
Okay.
So what I'll usually do, if someone trains during the day, I'll have them take their Lantus with meal one.
Yeah.
If someone trains later in the day, I'll actually get them to take their Lantus with meal two or meal three.
Yeah.
Because I want it active around
You
the
want it
workout.
active when they train.
If,
Yeah.
if I'm not using fast slim pre and post, I
Yeah.
want it active around the workout.
Yeah.
I do know there's a very well known coach who I won't say his name that likes you to take your Lantus before bed.
I've heard this in America, and actually in Canada, it's very common too. I've heard a bunch, that they
Huge,
got some of these big freaks over in Canada,
yeah,
some
a
of these.
huge carb meal before bed and take it. I've done
Yeah.
it. I've done it with a client. We found that it worked, and he seemed to definitely feel fuller. But
Yeah.
he's definitely noticed. We definitely noticed his waist got a bit more distended and a little bit thicker in doing it.
Mm.
So I haven't done it with anybody else.
I can't have that. I need to get everything else bigger, and my waist is the last thing that I can afford to grow.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
I don't think anybody wants the waist bigger, so I haven't done it with
no.
anybody else because we saw that.
Yeah. Um, and then you were saying no peptides, right? You're not into
No,
it.
there isn't any for me yet that I've
Yeah.
run. TB 500 and BPC I would have in there sporadically, depending on how the body is feeling and stuff. But at the moment, there isn't any of these new peptides I've personally run yet that I'm
Yeah.
super blown away with. But
Yeah.
I've only tried MOTC. I'm about to try the SS41 or whatever it is. But
SS31. Yeah. Yeah.
S31, yeah. But I don't know whether it was because I'm getting a bit older. I'm a little bit wary with throwing everything in. And I don't like the way everybody's throwing everything in at once because they just don't know
Yeah.
what's working. So
Yeah.
I've used MOTC. I've definitely got a touch more energy during the day,
A
but
little bit.
nothing mind blowing why I'm in an off season.
Yeah.
Might be different in prep. I am yet to try it. Retitutide, I'm not going to touch. I've got slow gastric transit
Yeah. You're the
anyway.
last one, and you're
I am the
sensitive
last one.
already.
and I have no food focus, so I don't
Yeah.
need it. People are like, why haven't you tried it? I'm like, I don't need it. And I do know some people that have run into some very serious issues with it because they've
Yes.
got the dosing wrong or because of other
Yes.
issues.
Yeah.
So I'm still, and again, Ronnie Coleman and Jay Cutler and Lee Priest, I know they've got amazing genetics, and I know we don't before anybody starts, but
Yeah.
everybody built the most impressive physiques I've seen,
Ever.
amateur and pro, without them.
Yeah.
So, and I think there is loads of merit to people that are trying to stay very healthy, use less drugs, use more peptides, loads of funky stuff going on as we age. What I am going to do once I finish this growth phase, I'm going to run a cut and a 12-week experimental phase where I taper these peptides in one at a time. I'm not going to use clenbuterol. I'm not going to use anything else. I am going to taper one in every 4 weeks, assess
Yeah.
what it does,
Hell
assess the
yeah.
response, and then taper one out and then have them all in. And I'm going to spend, because I like to do this and no one else seems to. Well, you probably do because you're a geek like I am with the data.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm going to spend 16 weeks where I put one in, one out, one in, one out, then them in together. And I'm
Yeah.
going to see because then I can say to clients, listen, you don't want to use drugs, you want to be TRT, but look what we can do with these peptides.
Yeah.
And then there's merit. But I think if you're a full blown bodybuilder, none of these peptides are going to give you what steroids give you. They're just not going to replace
No,
it.
it's
So,
different. It's totally different.
and they're not cheap. And when you've already got an expensive steroid cycle and a growth hormone thing running on, how many people can afford to be throwing in all these peptides on top? Do you know what I mean?
Especially, it seems like some of them, like some people will swear by, and then you get somebody that uses it at a dose that's supposed to work, and they just get nothing. And it's like,
Well,
man, I spent $78 on this one bottle, and it did nothing. Like,
I do believe there's so much potential to just be robbed with peptides as well. You've got to be very
it's
careful.
crazy. Yeah, it's
But,
see, I'm
I
a
mean,
dork too. Like in the aspect, I send a sample of almost everything that I'm going to put in my body over to like Janoschik over. He's
yeah.
over in the UK
Well,
or in
there's a
Europe.
there's a peptide company, Pro Pharma, that Jordan uses, and
Yeah,
their HPL, whatever it's called, C tested every
yeah,
batch, all of the
yeah.
time. So
Well,
I
that's
think in
like you
that,
get what you pay for. It's probably more
of course you do, of
expensive, but
course
it's
you do.
like, do you want the real thing or not?
Yeah, yeah,
I'll just share from one bodybuilder coach to another. I'll share you my experience because I was the same way. All this stuff started getting kind of popular this time last year, and I was in the
yes.
off season, and I was like, man, I have seen so many things, and you've been in this even longer than me. But I've seen so many things come and go that's supposed to be the next hot thing, and then it's just like it ends up being bullshit. And I'm like, I don't know about any of this. And then so I get into a prep, and I did almost exactly what you did, not because I was wisely or wanting to do, not because I wisely programmed it, but kind of because I became familiar with them one at a time.
One at a
So
time.
I started with retatrutide. That was what everyone was talking about. Started with it. And I'm like, okay, you know what? Noticeably, I'm getting leaner faster. And
Right.
it was like the moment that I started prep, the idea that I was in prep was not it was like prep happened as background software on my computer. And my
Right.
life just happened like
Yeah.
regular. Like I wasn't like, unable to have a conversation with my girlfriend because I'm worried that in 43 minutes I have to eat. Like
Yeah.
it just became disappeared. And then I put in SLU, and that was a noticeable like thermogenic effect from it.
Sorry to jump in. I've used SLU a lot, and I'm a big fan. I should have said that before. In a diet
I
phase,
like it.
I was very impressed with that.
So keep in mind, this is in a diet, right? So retatrutide, SLU. And I ran those two as like meat and potatoes for most of the hard work that I had, for most of the fat loss that I had to do. Then I started to feel it a little bit, but I will say for the most part, I got a greater benefit from my efforts than I ever did before. I've always been a
Right.
very high effort, like I'm starving and doing tons of cardio by 14 weeks out usually. It just never seems like the look and the effort match in my
Match.
preps. This time it was the opposite. I almost was like, I'm saying to my girlfriend at certain points, I'm like, I don't even feel like I'm in a diet. Like this kind of feels
Wow.
like it's almost weird. And I've been bodybuilding competing since 2014. Like I'm not trying to sell anybody on anything, you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, so then I did start to feel it a little bit, like 8 weeks out. I'm like, okay, I'm feeling it. Yeah, I'm getting it. I'm getting there. And I put in MOTS-C, and it was like I restarted the whole like it was like I was transported back to the off season, like cognitively and like morning pickup energy wise. And I can compare the two now because I continued to use it and I'm like in an off season now. I feel like it does nothing in the off season
Right.
compared to what I felt in the
And I
diet.
presume this, I've said this to people. I'm not feeling much of it now, but I imagine it could be completely different in a dieting phase.
And it's the same batch and package, same source that I used in prep. And I
So it's the
felt
environment
almost,
changing its effect.
dude, I almost felt like I was like between that and the SLU, I almost felt like a little stimmed out without
Yeah,
actual stims, you know what I mean?
yeah.
Which was great at the time, like
Well,
for what it is.
it's what you need, isn't it?
Um, so those three, like I think those three in a diet are the big heavy hitters. I've heard you guys talk because Deck trialed some retatrutide, and I wanted to share my experience with you and just things that I've heard. I remember him saying he feels like it didn't have much of an effect in terms of insulin sensitivity. So I have seen people that take this same source or whatever that I'm using. I know it's the same thing, and their blood glucose goes up. They start dumping insulin.
Apparently, that's quite common, isn't it?
Right. So I'm wearing the CGM. I started my post show rebound. Compton is aggressive. We're pushing a lot of food. I wear the CGM. I went to 20 IUs of GH. It was retarded. And now I have carpal tunnel that needs surgery. But it it's on my resume forever as in terms of like, I can teach about this, right?
Yes.
So he immediately has me on a ton of food. I'm on a ton of GH. No insulin, and I use 1 milligram of retatrutide during this period, and I'm going hypo and having to leave the gym early. I'm going hypo all day. I would eat my meal one, and my meal one was cream of rice. We eventually had to change it. I would have cream of rice and whey as meal one, and 60 to 90 minutes later, I'd be 55.
See, that's what it's like for me on a normal day.
Yeah, like you were explaining that before, and that is what retatrutide did for me.
Yeah.
So it's everyone is different. I will just say, like, because I've kind of put my experience out there and kind of guinea pig myself, people have come to me wanting help using this stuff more than steroids, more than the stuff that we know and use all the time.
Right.
These peptides have, and it could be a matter of like quality product as well, but a way wider range of how people respond
Yes,
than any
definitely.
other drugs. Like
I
testosterone
think
is generally going to do the same thing for most
same
people.
for everybody.
These peptides, dude, it's all
Yeah,
over the map. So I'm curious. I'd like to get back in touch with you in a couple months after you've gone through it and hear your,
definitely. It'd be interesting to re-go through stuff
yeah,
because again, things work different in an off season to a diet phase, and
totally.
I do think those peptides are much more geared to a diet phase than anything else.
100%.
Apart from, I think just dosing as well. People just take too much of stuff, and I think one of my friends and clients in Dubai, they're all getting into Retta in Dubai, right?
Yeah.
They're all in
Yeah. Bro, people are
but
taking crazy numbers. And I'm like,
so listen to
how?
this. So that they getting it off a doctor over there because they've all got loads of money, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
The
Yeah.
doctors give them an aggressive approach. 2 mg, 2 mg, 4 mg, 4 mg, 6 mg, 6 mg, 8 mg, 8 mg, 10 mg.
I wouldn't be
That's
able to
six
look
of
at
it.
food. I wouldn't be able to
Mate,
eat.
he's been violently sick for the last
Yeah.
3 days.
Yeah.
Sick,
Yeah.
sick.
I will
I'm
say
like
too,
this.
when you try it yourself or start helping people with it, I've seen different things. In my own personal experience, I didn't get any of the negative side effects like like feeling super distended, slowed gastric, like, constipation. I saw some of that more when I would do a single shot as a
Yes.
bolus.
Yeah.
If I would do, even if I split it, it made such a difference.
Well,
Even if I did twice a week, if I did Monday, Thursday,
I've got
no issues.
yeah, the clients I've got running it now, what I've done is we've started at zero point 0.3
Yep.
Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
It's
We
great.
sit there, we assess response. If someone needs a little bit more, we might do Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday.
Yeah.
But I'll keep it at zero point 0.3 daily doses. And
Yeah.
I honestly don't think anybody should ever need, based on my research, more than zero point 0.3 a day. I
Yeah.
don't. I think after that, you're taking a higher amount just to completely shut your food noise off.
Right.
Which, in prep or post show, there might be a justification. But
Sure.
for most people using it for fat loss and for health and stuff,
Yeah.
I think that 2 mg a week dosing should be enough for everybody personally.
I couldn't agree with you more. When my diet was the most when my food was the lowest, and I was like, let me move this up a little bit. I did exactly what you said. I did 0.3 per day every day. So it comes out to 2.1. I had
2.1.
one week of that, and I'm eating 50 grams of carbs a day. And I got to a point where I'm like, I can't even look at this food. This is too much.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. And everybody, and exactly what you said, those that I know that have tried to put bolus doses in run into issues that day instantly.
Immediately. Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome, man. I think this is a good point to wrap it up. I feel like just from talking to you, we could probably go for hours, and then
We
neither of
could,
us are,
we could, but
neither
it's
of us
been
are
a
going to
great
get
chat.
anything done all day. It has been a great chat, man. It's been such an honor to meet you. It's been such a pleasure to speak with you. Man, it's wild because I feel like I know you from listening to so many of the
Yeah,
podcasts.
everybody said, I think
I know
because of the way we chat and whatnot, it's a very social podcast now. So,
it is. It is. I feel like I'm hanging out with you guys when I listen to it. So,
yeah.
anything. So again, trained by JP, engineered muscle. Anything else that you want to call out?
No, that's it. My Instagram for anybody that wants to see is just Hilly Doc.
Awesome. All right. So for Big Hilly, I'm Joseph Percher. This was the One More Rep podcast. And until next time, guys, we are out.